So, meine Lieben, was ein würdiger, schöner letzter Tag war. Real quick. Meine AirPods zurückgeschickt am Morgen, ein bisschen gearbeitet. Dann an die Uni lernen. Kurz Mittagessen mit Ange, Jessica, Noelia und Valeria. Genau. Und dann zurück lernen mit Jolain, Danche, Gabi und mir. Und dann sind Mia, Gabi und Jolain zu ihrer Prüfung gegangen. Ja. Und dann bin ich weitergelernt bis am 7. Ich habe zwischendurch also schnell als Kontext, 12 Uhr angekommen, 12 bis 2 gelernt, 2 bis 3 Mittag, 3 bis 4 gelernt, 4 bis 5:30 Uhr Nap gemacht. What the hell? Crazy geiler Nap gewesen auch. Und nachher 35 bis 38 noch weitergelernt. Claude, holy shit, man kann Claude neuerdings vom Handy aus bedienen. Das ist ein crazy Unlock. Auf das freue ich mich actually sehr fest. Ja, das ist wild. Und jetzt ist noch die Frage, wie mache ich aus dem ganzen Geld? Ist aber egal, I'll figure it out. Ja, das ist nicht so schwierig. In der Zwischenzeit aber Connections, Netzwerk aufbauen. Voll, das wird alles gut. Ich freue mich sehr drauf. Dann bin ich heimgekommen, das Nacht gemacht, mit meiner Mami noch eine halbe Stunde telefoniert, angefangen, packen. Ja, das war gut gewesen. Und jetzt um 12 Uhr nochmal schnell am Dani nochmal eine Karte geschrieben, weil er hat Geburtstag. Ja. Er ist heute 31 geworden. Das heisst, er ist Jahrgang 95. Ich muss noch ganz schnell eintragen. Dani ist heute 31 geworden, bla. Dann er ist gerade heute zurückgeflogen und zum schnell runter zum Ale, Sergio und Dani. Dort noch ein bisschen chillt, Zeit verbracht, das war auch cool gewesen. Ein bisschen geredet. Sehr schön gewesen. Der Kopf, der Sergio, ich habe die ganze Zeit mit ihm geredet und so weiter. Und turns out, er ist auf den Co-Fund von Dani und so, hey, yo, bla bla bla. Und dann sind wir rauf, mit dem Dani noch kurz ein bisschen gehabt. Und er so, yo, ich lese gerade das Buch über Exits und so weiter und so fort. So, spannend, erzähl mehr. Ja, das war geil gewesen. Und er so, hey, gotta stay in touch, geil, Bro. Und ich so, ja, Bro, ich lüte dich Dienstagabend an, wenn du mit deiner Freundin im Bett am Chillen bist und Netflix schauen. Und also, ja, Bro, und nachdem das Storytime erzählt von meiner Homie, die sie ihm telefoniert und ihre Freundschaft voll verstärkt hat. Und ich so, ja, ich mache das auch mit meinen Homies und das müssen wir unbedingt auch machen. Das ist crazy, wie fest telefonieren, Freundschaften stärken können für die Tiefe und nicht so oberflächlicher Social Media Shit. Jetzt haben wir noch ein bisschen weitergepackt und mein Roommate, der andere Roommate, ist auch mit seiner Mami. Ich muss deshalb ganz leise sein, dass sie hoffentlich gut schlafen können. Sie ist das erste Mal in Barcelona und so weiter und so fort. Das ist auch egal. Ich muss jetzt endlich Bible Story machen, dass ich morgen am 9:15 Uhr wach bin, um nochmal an Dani Happy Birthday sagen, richtig. Und Tschüss sagen. Yes. Enough about that. We'll continue with my Bible study with Judges 13, the birth of Samson. Again, the Israelites did evil in the Lord's sight, so the Lord handed them over to the Philistines, who oppressed them for 40 years. In those days, a man named Manoah from the tribe of Dan lived in the town of Zorah. His wife was unable to become pregnant, and they had no children. The angel of the Lord appeared to Manoah's wife and said, "Even though you have been unable to have children, you will soon become pregnant and give birth to a son. So be careful, you must not drink wine or any other alcoholic drink, nor eat any forbidden food. You will become pregnant and give birth to a son, and his hair must never be cut, for he will be dedicated to God as a Nazarite from birth. He will begin to rescue Israel from the Philistines." The woman ran and told her husband, "A man of God appeared to me. He looked like one of God's angels, terrifying to see. I didn't ask where he was from, but he didn't tell me his name. But he told me, 'You will become pregnant and give birth to a son. You must not drink wine or any other alcoholic drink, nor eat any forbidden food, for your son will be dedicated to God as a Nazarite from the moment of his birth until the day of his death.' Then Manoah prayed to the Lord, saying, 'Lord, please let the man of God come back to us and give us more instructions about the son who is to be born.' God answered Manoah's prayer, and the angel of the God appeared once again to his wife as she was sitting on the field, but her husband Manoah was not with her. So she quickly ran and told her husband, 'The man who appeared to me the other day is here again.' Manoah ran back to his wife and asked, 'Are you the man who spoke to my wife the other day?' 'Yes,' he replied, 'I am.' So Manoah asked him, 'When your words come true, what kind of rules should govern the boy's life and work?' The angel of the Lord replied, 'Be sure your wife follows the instructions I gave her. She must not eat grapes or raisins, drink wine or any other alcoholic drink, or eat any forbidden food.' Then Manoah said to the angel of the Lord, 'Please stay here until we can prepare a young goat for you to eat.' 'I will stay,' the angel of the Lord replied, 'but I will not eat anything. However, you may prepare a burnt offering as a sacrifice to the Lord.' Manoah didn't realize it was the angel of the Lord.
Fühlt sich warm? One sec.
Ja, så fenster offen, weil die Heizung ist fast noch angesetzt, um in die letzte Kleider zu drücken. And then Manoah asked the angel of the Lord, 'What is your name? For when all this comes true, we want to honor you.' 'Why do you ask my name?' the angel of the Lord replied. 'It is too wonderful for you to understand.' Then Manoah took a young goat and a grain offering and offered it on a rock as a sacrifice to the Lord. As Manoah and his wife watched, the Lord did an amazing thing. As the flames from the altar shot up towards the sky, the angel of the Lord ascended in the fire. When Manoah and his wife saw this, they fell with their faces to the ground. The angel did not appear again to Manoah and his wife. Manoah finally realized that it was an angel of the Lord, and he said to his wife, 'We will certainly die, for we have seen God.' But his wife asked, 'If the Lord were going to kill us, he wouldn't have accepted our burnt offering and grain offering. He wouldn't have appeared to us and told us this wonderful thing and done these miracles.' When her son was born, she named him Samson. The Lord blessed him as he grew up, and the Spirit of the Lord began to steer him while he lived in Mahane-dan, which is located between the towns of Zorah and Eshtaol. Samson's riddle. One day when Samson was in Timnah, one of the Philistine women caught his eye. When he returned home, he told his father and mother, "A young Philistine woman in Timnah caught my eye. I want to marry her. Give her for me." His father and mother objected. "Isn't there even one woman in our tribe or among all the Israelites you could marry?" they asked. "Why must you go to the pagan Philistines to find a wife?" But Samson told his father, "Get her for me. She looks good to me." His father and mother didn't realize the Lord was at work in this, creating an opportunity to work against the Philistines who ruled over Israel at the time. As Samson and his parents were going down to Timnah, a young lion suddenly attacked Samson near the vineyards of Timnah. At that moment, the Spirit of the Lord came powerful upon him, and he ripped the lion's claws apart with his bare hands. He did it as easily as if it were a young goat, but he didn't tell his father or mother about it. When Samson arrived in Timnah, he talked with the woman, and he was very pleased with her. Later, when he returned to Timnah for the wedding, he returned to the path to look at the carcass of the lion, and he found that a swarm of bees had made some honey in the carcass. He scooped some of the honey into his hands and ate it along the way. He also gave some to his father and mother, and they ate it. But he didn't tell them he had taken the honey from the carcass of the lion. As the father was making final arrangements for the marriage, Samson threw a party at Timnah, as it was custom for elite young men. When the bride's parents saw him, they selected 30 young men from the town to be his companions. Samson said to them, "Let me tell you a riddle. If you solve my riddle during these 7 days of celebration, I'll give you 30 fine linen robes and 30 sets of festive clothing. But if you can't solve it, then you must give me 30 linen robes and 30 sets of festive clothing." "All right," they agreed. "Let's hear your riddle." So he said, "Out of the one who eats came something to eat. Out of the strong came something sweet." 3 days later, they were still trying to figure it out. On the 4th day, they said to Samson's wife, "Entice your husband to explain the riddle to us, or we will burn down your father's house with you in it. Did you invite us to this party just to make us poor?" So Samson's wife came to him in tears and said, "You don't love me, you hate me. You have given my people a riddle, but they haven't told me the answer." "I haven't even given the answer to my father or mother," he replied. "Why should I tell it you?" she cried out whenever she was with him, and kept up for the rest of the celebration. At last, on the 7th day, he told her the answer, because she was tormenting him with her nagging. Then she explained the riddle to the young men. So before sunset on the 7th day, the men of the town came to Samson with their answer. "What is as sweet as honey? What is stronger than a lion?" Samson replied, "If you haven't plowed with my heifer, you wouldn't have solved my riddle." And the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon him. He went down to the town of Ashkelon, killed 30 men, took their belongings, and gave their clothing to the man who had solved his riddle. But Samson was furious about what had happened, and he went back home to live with his father and mother. So his wife was given in marriage to the man who had been Samson's best man at the wedding. Judges 15. Samson's vengeance on the Philistines. Later on, during the wheat harvest, Samson took a young goat as a present to his wife. He said, "I'm going into my wife's room to sleep with her," but her father wouldn't let him in. "I truly thought you must hate her," her father explained, "so I gave her in marriage to your best man. But I took her younger sister. She's even more beautiful than she is. Marry her instead." Samson said, "This time I cannot be blamed for everything I'm going to do with you Philistines." Then he went out and caught 300 foxes. He tied all their tails together in pairs. He fastened a torch to each pair of tails. Then he lit the torches and let the foxes run through the grain fields of the Philistines. He burned all their grain to the ground, including the sheaves and the uncut grain. He also destroyed their vineyards and olive groves. "Who did this?" the Philistines demanded. "Samson," was replied, "because his father-in-law from Timnah gave Samson's wife to be married to his best man." So the Philistines went and got the woman and her father and burned them to death. "Because you did this," Samson vowed, "I won't rest until I take my revenge on you." So he attacked the Philistines with great fury and killed many of them. Then he went to live in a cave in the rock of Etam. The Philistines retaliated by setting up camp in Judah and spreading out near the town of Lehi. The men of Judah asked the Philistines, "Why are you attacking us?" The Philistines replied, "We've come to capture Samson. We've come to pay him back for what he did to us." So 3,000 men of Judah went down to get Samson at the cave in the rock of Etam. They said to Samson, "Don't you realize the Philistines rule over us? What are you doing to us?" But Samson replied, "I only did it to them what they did to me." But the men of Judah told him, "We have come to tie you up and hand you over to the Philistines." "All right," Samson said, "promise that you won't kill me yourselves." We will only tie you up and hand you over to the Philistines, he replied. We won't kill you. Then they tied him up with the 2 new ropes and brought him up from the rock. As Samson arrived at Lehi, the Philistines came shouting in triumph. But the Spirit of the Lord came powerful upon Samson, and he snapped the ropes on his arms as if they were burnt strands on flax, and they fell from his wrists. Then he found a jawbone of a recently killed donkey. He picked it up and killed 1,000 Philistines with it. Then Samson said, with the jawbone of a donkey, I've piled them in heaps. With the jawbone of a donkey, I've killed 1,000 men. When he finished his boasting, he threw away the jawbone, and the place was named Jawbone Hill. Samson was now very thirsty, and he cried out to the Lord, You have accomplished this great victory by the strength of your servant. Must I now die of thirst and fall into the hands of these pagans? So God caused water to gush out of a hollow in the ground at Leel, and Samson was revived as he drank. Then he named that place the spring of the one who cried out, and it is still in Lehi to this day. Samson judged Israel for 20 years during the period when the Philistines dominated the land. Judges 16. Samson carried away Gaza's gates. One day, Samson went to the Philistine town of Gaza and spent the night with a prostitute. Word soon spread that Samson was there, so the men of Gaza gathered together and waited all night at the town gates. They kept quiet during the night, saying to themselves, When the lights of morning comes, we will kill him. But Samson stayed in bed only until midnight. Then he got up and took hold of the doors of the town gates, including the 2 posts, and lifted them up, bar and all. He put them in his shoulders and carried them all the way to the top of the hill across from Hebron. Samson and Delilah. Some time later, Samson fell in love with a woman named Delilah, who lived in the valley of Sorek. The ruler of the Philistines went to her and said, Entice Samson to tell you what makes him so strong and how he can be overpowered and tied up securely. Each of us will give you 1,100 pieces of silver. So Delilah said to Samson, Please tell me what makes you so strong and what it could take to tie you up securely. Samson replied, If I were tied up with 7 new bone strings that have not yet been dried, I would become as weak as anyone else. So the Philistines' ruler brought Delilah 7 new bowstrings, and she tied Samson up with them. She had hidden some man in one of the inner rooms of her house, and she cried out, Samson, the Philistines have come to capture you. But Samson snapped the bone strings as a piece of string snaps when it is burnt by fire. So the secret of his strength was not discovered. Afterwards, Delilah said to him, You've been making fun of me and telling me lies. Now please tell me how you can be tied up securely. Samson replied, If I were tied up with brand new ropes that had never been used, I would become as weak as anyone else. So Delilah took new ropes and tied him up with them. The men were hiding in the inner room as before. But again Delilah cried out, Samson, the Philistines have come to capture you. But again Samson snapped the ropes from his arms as if they were threads. Then Delilah said, You've been making fun over me, telling me lies. Now tell me again how you can be tied up securely. Samson replied, If you were to wave the 7 braids of my hair into the fabric of your loom, tighten it with the loom shuttle, I would become as weak as anyone else. So while he slept, Delilah wove the 7 braids of his hair into the fabric. Then she tightened it up with loom shuttle. Again she cried out, Samson, the Philistines have come to capture you. But Samson woke up, pulled back the loom shuttle, and yanked his hair away from the loom and the fabric. Then Delilah pouted, How can you tell me I love you when you don't share your secrets with me? You've made fun of me 3 times now, and you haven't even told me what makes you so strong. She tormented him with her nagging day after day until he was sick of death of it. Oh, this is why in Proverbs they say, like, it is better to live in a tiny room on a tiny room and eat just bread than to live a glorious life and have a nagging wife. Nagging him day after day until he was sick to death of it. Finally, Samson shared his secret with her. My hair has never been cut, he confessed. For I was dedicated to God as a Nazarite from birth. If my head were shaved, my strength would leave me, and I would become as weak as anyone else. Delilah realized he had finally told her the truth. So she sent for the Philistine rulers. Come back one more time, she said, for he has finally told me his secret. So the Philistine rulers returned with the money in their hands. Delilah lulled Samson to sleep with his head on her lap, and she called a man to shave off the 7 locks of his hair. In this way she began to bring him down, and his strength left him. Then she cried out, Samson, the Philistines have come to capture you. He woke up. He thought, I will do it as before. I will shake myself free, but he didn't realize the Lord had left him. So the Philistines captured him and gouged out his eyes. They took him to Gaza, where he was bound with bronze chains and forced to grind grain in prison. But before long, his hair began to grow back. What an amazing story. I really, really, really want to read on. But I'll save it for myself until tomorrow. Today is the 20th of March, PM. Looking forward for tomorrow's session. Have a wonderful night and be blessed, everyone.